Okay, so yan. So let's continue. So I just fixed something in my computer. Okay, so nakikita nyo naman na yung presentation. Okay, so yung first objective natin ngayon is grounded to the different models, especially from model of Ernest Rutherford, of Neil Bohr, because that's the very recent models which we developed in our discussion. Okay, so yan. So number 2 objective, or the second objective that we need to discuss is about to describe the subatomic particles that make up an atom. So in our previous discussion then, we've already discussed about the presence of positively charged and negatively charged subatomic particles of an atom. But here in this discussion, we'll discuss that in detail. Okay? So number 3, or the third objective, is to obtain what? To obtain and identify, obtain the identity of an atom based on the number of its subatomic particles. Okay? Because in the review, or in the video reviewing about the previous topic, so it's stated here that different elements has different kind of an atom, and this is one that makes them differed. It's atomic number and mass number. Okay, so we're going to talk about that here. Okay, so yan, so let's continue. So atoms and its components. So remember that atoms, all matter are made up of atoms, and all atoms are made up of smaller particle. You call this as subatomic particles. Okay? So there are 3 types of subatomic particles which were discovered in many experiments conducted by scientists. So few are just given in our previous discussion, like protons, okay, like neutrons and electrons. So what are these particles? Okay, so tingnan natin. Okay, so atoms and its components continued as stated by Rutherford, okay, after his experiment on the gold foil experiment. So the atom is mostly empty space. Mostly empty space with a concentrated positive charge in its center. So you call this center as a nucleus. Okay, so it's a space. Atom is mostly a space with a concentrated positively charged. That center is called the nucleus. Okay, so that's Ernest. Okay, so the nucleus, after several experiments then, continued to be discovered, and this nucleus, or the core of an atom, contains actually a proton and a neutron. Okay, that was held, or that were held by an attractive force. Okay, so the electrons are moving rapidly outside the nucleus. So electrons are in constant motion, okay, outside the nucleus. So if you're going to look at this one, okay, so this one is a structure of an atom. Okay, so look at the center. The center, you call that center as the nucleus. Okay, so tingnan natin yung pointer natin. Okay, so the center is the nucleus, which contain what? Which contain a proton and a neutron. Neutron is a neutral charge, meaning it's neither positive nor negative, and a positively charged proton. Okay, so proton and neutron compose the nucleus of an atom, or the core of an atom. Okay, so outside the nucleus are the electrons. Electrons are in orbital motion. Okay, so they orbit around the nucleus. Okay, so meron tayong 3. So here we're going to determine or distinguish 3 subatomic particles. Okay, so the nucleus is very small, yet it contains most of the mass of an atom. Pag sinabi nating class most, almost 99% or 99 point something percent of the total mass of the atom. Okay, so yan. So therefore, in this case, the mass of an electron is almost negligible. When we speak of negligible, parang wala siyang silbi when it comes to the mass of an atom. Okay? So yeah. So protons and neutrons have the same relative mass. Okay, so for example, if the mass of a proton is 2, okay, so neutron will be 2 also. Okay, so which is much larger than the mass of an electron. Okay, kasi it's a combined mass, yung nucleus ng proton and neutron. So much larger to the extent that electrons are almost negligible, or the mass of an electrons are almost negligible. Okay? So look at this table. It represents the properties of a subatomic particle. So we have here 3, the proton, neutron, and the electron. So location in the atom, proton and neutron are located at the center, nucleus or core of an atom. Electrons are orbiting around. Okay, so here are the symbols that you can use in any cases whenever you are referring to these subatomic particles. For the proton, symbol is P. Okay, you use the initial lowercase p. Sometimes they put a positive sign on the upper right of P. Okay, neutron, you use small size n. Okay, so as initial of a neutron. Sometimes they use also n and with n raised to 0. Okay, may upper right 0 kasi 0 represents neutrality or neither positive nor negative. Okay, so electrons, they use the symbol E. Okay, so same thing with other subatomic particles. They use E, and sometimes they put a negative sign on the upper right of the letter E. Okay, so, but here, in this case, are the basic symbol that you can use whenever you are referring to subatomic particles. So, for the relative charges of these 3, so positive 1 for proton, okay, so negative 1 for electron, and 0 for a neutron. Okay, so relative masses of these 3 subatomic particles. Okay, so in atomic mass unit. Okay, so that's the unit used to refer mass of an atom. So you can use for proton, that's 1. For neutron, that's 1. Okay, so for electron, that's 1 over 1,840 atomic mass units. So if you're going to compare these 3, atom is almost negligible. Okay, so kaya nga sinasabi kong negligible kasi if you compare 1 and 1 and 1 over 1,840, it's very, very much larger. Okay, so the size or the mass of a proton or a neutron, each is very much larger than the mass of an electron. Okay, so yan. So for the sake of this discussion, we can assume that the mass of an atom is composed of a proton and neutron. So anyway, though electron still adds to the mass of an atom, for the sake of this discussion, we almost neglect the mass of an electron since it's very negligible. Okay pa? So let's continue. Atoms and its components. So neutrons contain no charge. Sabi ko nga siya, neither positive nor negative. Protons contain positive, electrons contain negative. Tandaan nyo lang klase yung mga sign, either positive, negative, tandaan nyo lang and you will not be lost. Okay, so atoms of all elements in their neutral state have 0 charge since it has the same number of protons and electrons. Remember class, atoms of all elements. Okay, so how many elements do we have? As of now, we have 118. Okay, so the naturally occurring and synthetically or laboratory-made elements. Okay, since it has the number of protons and electrons, the same number of protons and electrons. Okay, so what do we mean by this one? Okay, if two electrons were equated by two protons, so the tendency is to equalize. Okay, so magkakaroon sila ng equal charge. Kasi two positive and two negative, that could neutralize the charges inside of an atom. So it's stated here that all elements are in neutral state or zero charge because it equates the positive protons with the negative electrons. Okay? So I hope you're getting that. Okay po, admitting. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so for example, lithium. Okay, so ilan nga yung atomic number ng lithium? So hydrogen, helium, lithium. So we have 3. So 3 atomic number. Okay? So here are the subatomic particles of a lithium. We have P, N, and E, or proton, neutron, and electrons respectively. So the number of subatomic particles are so for proton we have 3, neutron we have 4, electron we have 3. So remember class that protons must equate or must equal to the number of electrons. So 3 and 3 yung proton and electrons. Okay? So the total charge of subatomic particle, positive 3 proton, negative 3 electron, and 0 charge neutron kasi it's in neutral state. Okay? So total charge of a lithium atom is 0. Charge, we are referring here about the charge. Okay? We are referring about the charge, not with the mass. So later we will talk about mass. Okay? So yan. Okay, so for carbon, same thing. 666 yung proton, neutron, and electrons. So positive 6, negative 6, 0. So total charge of a carbon atom is 0. Okay, so also same thing with oxygen. Positive 8, negative 8, 0, 0. Okay, positive 8, negative 8, 0, it equates so 0 charge, okay, sa oxygen atom. Okay? So, yan Okay, if you are going to notice, all protons and electrons of all elements or of elements that I'm giving is the same. So, kung 8 din yung, kung 8 yung proton, 8 din yung electron. Pero, in the case of lithium, neutron is different. Okay, so don't be confused with the number of neutrons. Okay, so it does not always be the same. Though some are the same, but some are not the same with the number of protons and electrons. Okay, so yan. Okay, so for our key points, so remember the subatomic particles, P, N, and E. Okay, so their charges, their masses, because that can be used for the succeeding lessons, okay, that we are going to conduct. Okay, so nucleus is composed of protons and electrons. Okay, so yeah, so can you please answer this one? Okay, so please answer this one. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to answer this one. Please answer this one in a scratch paper or ano na lang, or scratch paper or 1/4. Okay, so pakisagutan po. After 3 minutes, we're going to check. Make sure that you answer because I'm going to collect your answers. Okay, papipicturean ko yan sa inyo. Okay, by 8:30, okay, so after 3 minutes. You can chat if ever you are done.
Sir, sagot na lang po.
Opo, sagot na lang. And after you answer it, picturean nyo yung, yung sagot nyo. And send it to our secretary. Okay, so in our case, so it's Jaila. Okay, so pakisend kay Jaila yung mga sagot nyo because siya yung mag-gather ng data. Okay na, nakasend na kayo?
Sir, hindi pa po.
Okay, so you can send that to her messenger na lang. Okay. So we're not going to check here. We're not going to check here the answer or check this particular quiz kasi bibigay ko na lang kay Jaila um, yung key to correction so that I can only gather the results. Okay po? So, picturean nyo na lang yung quiz in the case na hindi nyo or in the case na we need to proceed with the discussion. Okay po? So, para hindi mabala yung discussion natin. Okay po? So, yan. So, okay na? Yes, okay. So there are subjective, in this particular quiz, your answer can be subjective. Okay, so it can be subjective and there are also questions like objective type question. Like number 4, so it's subjective, however, you need to attain a particular answer. Okay? So, yan. So, we need to proceed with the discussion because it's 3 minutes, tapos na yung 3 minutes. Okay pa?
Okay.
Okay, so yan. So, the next section of our topic will talk about atomic number and mass number. So, atomic number and mass number. So, this in particular will talk about the subatomic particles. So, before I continue with this, with this lesson or with this presentation, let me give you another video which will review you about the subatomic particles. Okay po? So, here is the video. Please watch and listen attentively.
Science, my friend, is an infinity puzzle. There's always a missing piece and the puzzle never ends. In the previous videos, you've seen how challenging it was for scientists to figure out the structure of atom. What Thomson's model couldn't explain, Rutherford's did. And where Rutherford's model failed, Bohr's model came along. Bohr's model explained that electrons in an atom revolve in specific energy shells around a positively charged nucleus. It finally seemed like the structure of atom had successfully been deciphered. But not for long. Scientists still didn't know what was inside the nucleus. They were aware that it contained positive charges but weren't sure whether these were particles. Consequently, Rutherford and other scientists discovered that the positive charges in the nucleus were in fact particles. Rutherford named them protons. Scientists studied the properties of these particles in detail. It was found that protons are identical to a hydrogen nucleus. Now, what is a hydrogen nucleus? Well, a hydrogen atom contains one electron and a nucleus. Hydrogen nucleus is simply the hydrogen atom minus the electron. Its mass is close to 1 U and it has a positive charge. So just like the hydrogen nucleus, the protons inside the nucleus are also almost equal to 1 U in mass and have a positive charge. These protons together make up the mass of the nucleus. Let's see how protons differ from electrons now. The mass of a proton is almost 1 U and it is almost 2000 times that of an electron. Comparing the two, we can say that the mass of an electron is negligible. Therefore, the mass of an atom is mostly contributed by the nucleus and not the electrons. So we can simply find atomic mass by adding the masses of all the particles inside the nucleus, right? Okay, moving on, let's compare the other properties of protons and electrons. A proton has a positive charge of 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulombs. Coulomb is simply a measure of electric charge. Here's the magnitude of the negative charge of an electron. Now as you can see, it is equal to that of the proton, but opposite in charge. Now since the charges of the proton and electron are equal in magnitude but opposite in sign, we take them as +1 unit and -1 unit for convenience. Well, if you pick the atom of any element, you'll see that the number of protons is always equal to the number of electrons. This confirms that an atom is neutral. So now we know that protons happily reside in the nucleus while electrons revolve around it. But that's not the end of the story. When scientists estimated the atomic masses of different atoms, they realized that the masses were more than expected. For example, a carbon atom containing 6 protons should have an atomic mass close to 6 U. But the mass was actually found to be 12 U, double of what's expected. Scientists were lost. Wouldn't you be baffled too if you weighed double than what you expected? Scientists couldn't figure out where the additional mysterious mass of an atom came from. They started exploring the cause and lots of theories began floating around. At that time, Rutherford guessed that there might be something other than proton in the nucleus that was responsible for this mysterious mass. We'll talk about this mysterious mass and what it has to do with the atomic structure in the next video. But for now, let's simply sum up what we've learned about the atomic structure. An atom consists of positively and negatively charged particles. Positively charged particles are called protons. The mass of a proton is close to 1 U and the charge is plus 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulombs. Negatively charged particles in the atom are called electrons. They have negligible mass and a charge of minus 1.602 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulombs. For convenience, the charge of a proton is taken as +1 unit and that of electron is taken as -1 unit. In a neutral atom, the number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. That was all for this session. Stay curious and we'll meet again soon to know more about the atom.
Okay, so yan. So ano kaya yung tinutukoy niyang mysterious mass that adds to the atomic mass of a particular element? Can you guess? Can you message me the mysterious mass na refer nung sa video that adds to the mass of a nucleus? Okay, so yan, so we can proceed with the Okay, very good. So the correct answer is the neutron. Okay, so neutron adds to the mass of the atom. Okay, so yan, neutron. Okay, so very good for those who answered. Okay, so let's proceed with the presentation then. Okay, so yan. So in this particular section, we'll talk about atomic number and mass number. Okay, so very good. Okay, so yan. So ang ano nito, prerequisite topic is your understanding about subatomic particles, which are the proton, electron, and neutron. So yan. So very easy naman tong Okay, so your objectives are, number 1, determine the number of protons. Number. Okay, so number, not charge ha. Number of protons, electrons, and neutrons in an atom. The second one, determine the atomic number and mass number. Okay, so we are pertaining here about number of subatomic particles and mass number of an atom. Okay, so let's forget first, or let's set aside first the charges. Okay, so yan. So for atomic number, okay, so atomic number is the number of protons in an atom. Okay, number of protons. For example, if in carbon we have 6, so the atomic number will be 6. So remember the class in a periodic table. Elements in the periodic table are arranged based on one of the characteristic is the atomic number. Okay, so it is represented by a symbol Z, okay, as in zebra. Okay, so in a neutral atom, okay, so pag sinabing neutral class, remember that electron must equal, or the number of electron must equal the number of a proton, kasi they are of opposite charges. The same magnitude but different or opposite in charges. So they neutralize. Okay? So therefore, the atomic number also shows the number of electrons present in a neutral atom. For example, in a neutral beryllium, we have 4 electrons. Then we can say that we have 4 protons then. Okay? So, but the neutron varies. Okay? So, yan. So, here in this case, here are the atomic number. Okay, helium 2. Okay, automatically, kapag 2 yung proton, okay, electron, palagi siyang 2. Okay, remember ha? Whenever na magkaparehas, proton must be equal to the number of electrons. So, kasi if you're going to look at this table for elements, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, okay, beryllium, here you are. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So electrons 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it must be the same in a neutral atom. Okay? So for the atomic number, since atomic number class is the same to the number of protons, so it must be also the same. Okay? Ano yung magkakaparehas in a neutral atom? We have proton is the same with electron. It's the same with number or atomic number. So, magkakaparehas yung tatlo. So, ang maiiba lang dito, class, is the mass number and the neutron. So, let's have a look at that. Okay? Okay, so, as shown in the previous table, each element has different atomic number because they have different electrons and protons. Okay? So, no 2 elements can have the same atomic number. You cannot assign 8 for a carbon kasi 8 is for oxygen. You cannot assign 4 for an oxygen because 4 is for beryllium. Okay? So, each element, okay, have a unique atomic number. Okay? It cannot have the same it cannot have the same atomic number. This means that atomic number can determine the identity of an atom. Okay, so yan. So let's talk about mass number. So don't be confused with the different terms, class. Mass number, when we speak of mass number, you are pertaining to the mass of an atom or mass of an atom. Mass number pertains to the number of a proton and neutrons in an atom or in a nucleus of an atom. Mass number, number of protons and neutrons inside the nucleus. Okay, so that represents the mass of an atom. Okay, so yan, so it is represented by the symbol A. Okay, so for atomic number Z, for mass number A. So sometimes they referred mass number as atomic mass. They refer to be atomic mass, or sometimes ano pa ba? Mass number, atomic mass, or atomic weight. So different references can use different terms like this one. Mass number, atomic mass, or atomic weight. So but that pertains to the same thing. Okay? So recall that the mass of protons and neutrons are extremely larger than an electron, to the point that electrons or mass of electron is almost negligible. Okay, so yan. So okay, pinakita ko na sa inyo to in the previous slides or in previous discussion. Okay, so yan yung yung relative charges, symbols, and masses. Okay? So for mass number, remember that mass number, the mass of an atom is represented by the mass of a nucleus. And the nucleus contains proton and neutron. So therefore, the mass number, mass of an atom is represented by the sum of a proton, the sum of a proton and a neutron. Okay, so A, which is the mass number, is the sum of a proton and neutron. Okay, so don't forget about that. Okay, so mass number, since atomic number Z is the same as the number of proton, it's equal to the number of proton. Okay, so the formula can be written as A. Okay, so A, which stands for mass number, is equal to Z plus N. So pinalitan mo lang yung Z, ay yung P ng Z, because the same, parehas lang naman sila. Okay, so pwedeng Z plus N if okay, so basta yun yung formula. Okay, so yan, so where A is the mass number, Z is the atomic number, and small n is the number of neutrons. Okay, so how to get the number of neutrons? Okay, so deriving from the formula, you can get the number of protons by transposing Z or P to the other side of the equation. Okay, so you transpose Z if given is the atomic number, or P if given is the number of proton, to the other side of the equation. From positive, it becomes negative because you transpose. The formula will be N is equal to A minus Z. Okay, so very understandable, simple mathematics. Okay, so if you were going to find the number of neutron inside the nucleus, for example, it's missing, and given is the mass number, which is represented by A. So, i-minus mo lang yung mass number ng proton or ng atomic number. It's very easy to answer. Okay? So, yan. Okay, so here in this case, take a look at this table. For helium, we have protons, okay, na 2. Therefore, the electrons will be 2, okay? And the atomic number will be 2, okay? So, tatlo. Ang magkakaparehas dyan, class, yung proton, electron, and atomic number. Ang magkakaiba-iba lang, class, dito sa number of neutrons and mass number, okay? So, if in case missing yung mass number, you just add proton and electron, okay? So, 2 plus 2, it becomes 4, okay? Depende siya sa missing. Okay, for example, in my quiz, the missing is the neutron, given is the mass number. Okay, so you just minus, or you just subtract proton or atomic number from the mass number to get the number of neutrons. So in this case of helium, 4 minus 2, 4 is the mass number, or 2, it can either be electron or it can be electron, proton, or atomic number. So the answer will be 2. So very understandable naman. So yan. Just do not forget our discussion. Okay, so here, let's talk about chemical symbols. Okay, so chemical symbols, okay, in a periodic table, you can see different symbols. So when elements are represented by symbol, for example, carbon for C, okay, so wala namang X. Okay, so Xe meron xenon. Okay, so when elements are represented in symbols, the atomic number and mass number are included. So usually mass number is on top, upper left of the chemical symbol or upper right, depende yun sa sa construction ng periodic table. And the mass number on top and atomic number on the lower left. Okay, so the general symbol for an atom consisting mass number and atomic number. But it may differ. Okay, depende sa periodic table. Kung makakabili kayo ng periodic table, meron naman yung legend so that you can also be aware kung ano yung mass number, kung alin dyan yung atomic number. Okay pa? So, yan. So, depende sa periodic table. So, here in this case, aluminum. So, Al. So, Al has 13 protons. So, nasaan dyan yung 13 protons? So, hindi dyan given yung 13 protons. Yung 13 na to, it's the atomic number. Okay? Kasi given baga dito. Atomic number. But you can infer from this one that 13 atomic number is the same as the number of protons. Okay? And electrons. So, based from this symbol, alam mo na kung ilan yung number ng electron, ilan yung number ng proton because it's just the same. Okay? So, 27 in here is the mass number. Okay? So, if I ask you, what is the number of neutron? Anyone? You can message. You can message. You can speak. What is the number of neutron here in this case? Supposed to be you're just seeing this symbol. Al2713. What is the number of neutron of aluminum in this case? Class. Remember how to get the number of neutron. Okay, if you're going to get the number of neutron is equal to the mass number, which is represented by A, minus Z, and that is the atomic number. Okay, so what is the neutron here? Number of neutron. Oh, bakit may ata? 14 po ata, sir. Okay? So, 14 is the correct na answer. So, given pa lang dito sa statement, 13 protons and 14 neutrons. 14 neutrons. So, it's very easy. So, how do you get 14 out of this symbol? So, you just subtract 27 minus 13. 27 is the atomic or mass number, atomic mass, atomic weights that pertains to the same thing. 27 minus 13. So the answer is 14. So even if without this statement, given just this symbol, you can already answer my question. Okay, so you just subtract 27, which is the mass number, minus 13, and that is the number of proton. Number of proton is equal to the number of electron is equal to atomic number. Okay, so yan. So in some cases, class, only mass number is included. Okay, so as seen below, so only mass number. For simplicity, aluminum can also be written as can also be written as aluminum 27. 27, which means that's the mass number of aluminum. Okay? So, yan. So, let's try to determine the atomic number and mass number of silver. Okay? Silver has atomic number of 47. Okay? So, let's identify what is the atomic number. Kasi sabi dito, determine the atomic number. Oh, I am pertaining to the atomic number. What is the atomic number here? Atomic number. Okay, very good. So that is 47. If you answer, make sure that you are sure of your answer. Do not put question mark to your answer. Okay? So the atomic number is 47 here. Okay? So you can infer that the atomic number is the same to the number of proton, the same to the number of electron. Okay? So another, determine the mass number. What is the mass number of a silver? What is the mass number? Okay, so the mass number is 108. Okay, very good. So given na siya. So what about the chemical symbol of silver? What is the chemical symbol? Okay, so very good, AG. Make sure, class, that when you're writing a chemical symbol, follow the rules in writing, okay? So, initial letter, if in case dalawa yung symbol, yung letter ng symbol, uppercase, yung second letter should be lowercase. Okay pa? So, yan. So, another question. Okay, so let's try to modify the question. Determine the number of proton. What is the number of proton of silver here? What is the number of proton? What is the number of proton? What is the number of proton, class? Okay, so proton is 47. So not 61, 47, this 47 is the atomic number, but remember that the number of proton is the same as the atomic number. So if 47 is the atomic number, proton is 47 then. Same then. Okay, so yan. Don't be confused, class. So medyo nako-confuse kayo, It's 47. So another question, what is the number of electron? What is the number of electron? Electron. Okay, so still 47 kasi electron is the same as the atomic number and the number of proton. Okay, so it's 47. Okay, so last question here. So what is the number of neutron? Pabilisan to ng sagot. What is the number of neutron? Okay, very good. So it's 61. Okay, so confused position. So it's 61 because you just subtract mass number minus atomic number or proton or electron, then you can find the mass, the number of neutrons. So 108 in this case minus 47, that's 61. Okay, so nahihilo kayo. You can always review this later. Okay po. Anyway, I'm recording this discussion. Okay, so here, determine the atomic number and the mass number of silver. So, given its chemical symbol. So, we just answered this already. So, here is the step. Okay? So, screenshot nyo na lang para at least alam nyo. Or picturean nyo na lang. Anyway, I'm recording this one. But I'm going to skip this step kasi kulang na tayo sa oras. Okay? So, madali lang naman i-solve. Okay, so
Wait, picturean ko lang po.
Okay, so eto, what is the number of electrons? So alam niyo na to. So let's escape this one. So it's just the same process but different example. Okay, so let's try not to answer this one. But you can answer this one on your own. Okay po? You can answer this one on your own.
Okay po.
Okay, so same thing for this one. Okay, so do not forget the formula. Okay, so very easy lang naman. Okay, so here are the key points. Okay, so please try to answer this one in addition to your quiz class. Okay, so and you can also send it to Jaila then. Okay po? So answer this one in a scratch paper or 1/4. Okay, and picturean nyo, then you can send to Jaila. So I can give her the correct answer. Okay, for checking. Okay po, so I'll give you 3 minutes to answer this one. Okay, so yan, so paki-picturean nyo na lang and screenshot tapos send nyo kay Jaila yung yung answer. Okay, so that Jaila can check your answers then. Okay po? So yan, so you make sure that you answer the quiz because that's part of your record. Okay? So I'm going to end my discussion here. I hope you learned something. Okay, so thank you.